à tout moment je passe en français, hein. Il n'y a aucun souci. Hein. Je t'ai retiré ton certificat. T'as pas le certificat d'officien. Ouais, sinon, j'attends que tu vas faire et ça arrivera. Enfin, ah oui, on a un délai.
Welcome everybody to this special episode of Odoo Insider. We're going to connect hardware together with Robin. So I'm Hermine, I'm in the post-expertise team, and Robin is in the expertise team as well. And we're very lucky because Robin has a functional and a technical profile. Good, let's go ahead. So the first thing we would like to show you is how to connect the IoT. Now, maybe for the ones that don't know the IoT, it would be interesting to go through some theoretical stuff. So what is the IoT? Basically, it's a device that works as a bridge between Odoo and the different devices when communication protocols are not native. So it helps you connect devices when they cannot communicate with Odoo on their own, basically. Now, it's not all hardware. Of course, R&D needs to have developed the necessary drivers for it to function, but this we're going to see a bit later as well. Now, what is it about? It's really about having integrated hardware, so the info is sent from Odoo to the hardware, or from the hardware to Odoo, basically. You don't need always an IT, but this we're going to check together after. Now, the best example about the IoT is the payment terminal. So basically, Odoo, when you do a POS order, is going to send the payment request to the terminal automatically, so with the right amount, so no manual encoding required. And once the payment terminal is going to validate the transaction or refuse it, this info is going to flow back to the POS order of Odoo, and the order is going to be validated, or we're going to receive a message that the transaction has been refused. So that's a perfect example of the integration with payment terminals. Now, how do we do that? We're going to see that together. We're going to flash a physical SD card from the IoT. So basically, we have here a Raspberry Pi. This is the physical IoT box. We also have a dematerialized version, which is the Windows IoT, that of course only works on Windows computers. But today we're going to work with a physical one, which basically is a Raspberry Pi. We have various models that we can work with. It's 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah, but 5 is mostly for the kiosk. The 3 and 4 will work most of the time for the basic businesses.
Exactly. So indeed, how do we do that? Basically, you need to flash the SD card of the IoT. So if you take a look here at the IoT, I hope you can see it. We have a small SD card here that basically you need to flash. So I'm going to use adapter, SD card adapter basically, to flash it in my computer, but maybe you have the available port and you can do it directly. So what does that do? Basically, you're going to add the Odoo code on this SD card, and you can find that code actually here on the Nightly platform. Of course, all info is on the Odoo documentation, but here you have the various versions basically of the IoT. So if you go at the bottom, you'll get the latest version with the latest code. Now, of course, that's for the physical IoT. If you're using the virtual one, so the Windows IoT, it's basically a service that's running on the computer, and there you need to download the software for it to function.
Maybe just to make it clear, if we go back to the Nightly...
Yes, you can actually remove that.
So there we have the latest, which is always equals to this version, the one at the bottom, and here for the version you will have the year and the month. So typically this one was done in January this year, and this one was done last month this year. So this one is equals to the latest now, and always take the latest.
Yes, exactly. And we recommend to actually take that one and not the latest here, so you can see what image you have installed basically on the SD card. If you need to have some help from support, it will be easier for you to answer that question. Now, a very important thing to remember is that the IoT is not a magical device that can connect any hardware. We need our R&D department to have created the necessary drivers for the integration to be able to function. Just a small example, we have a lot of question with SumUp payment terminals. SumUp is not a payment terminal payment provider with whom we're integrated, so we also cannot connect it with an IoT. So to see what payment terminals can be connected with Odoo, you can go on the online documentation, and here you can find the different payment providers basically, and you need to read it through because we have some specific things that you need to know basically about payment terminals, but we're going to see that after. Good. So where can you find the info about the hardware? I can show you the page basically. If you type POS hardware Odoo, you are going to come on this page where everything is explained with the different guidelines that you need to follow to have the necessary hardware that is compatible with Odoo, with or without an IoT, so pay attention to that. So here you have really everything. Good. So IoT or no IoT, that's a very small guide here, very synthesized about when to use an IoT or not. Skills, if you do want the integration, you will need the IoT. Black box, there's no question there. You will always need the IoT. Then some payment terminals, again, if you need the integration, because you can still encode manually the different amounts on the terminal, so using it without integration. And then every receipt printer that follows the ESC POS communication protocol also will need an IoT. And the last use case is automated printing of reports. So if you want to print invoices, quotation orders, or labels, you will need the IoT to do that. And then you do not need an IoT for EPOS receipt printers. Now, make sure to pay attention to that. What you need to know is that you need to also pay attention to the connectivity of the printer. So if it's network-based, either Ethernet or Wi-Fi, it's fine. But if it's an EPOS printer with a USB connection, then you will require an IoT to make it work. So make sure to really check that. Then we also have payment terminals that communicate via API. Odoo has an API as well, so communication protocols are natively compatible. And that's why Stripe IDN and Viva Wallet can function without. Pricer tags also work with an API, so there again no IoT needed. So the cache drawer, what's important to know here is if you have a printer compatible port, so a cable that you plug basically on the receipt printer, it's going to function out of the box as well, as long as you have a compatible receipt printer. And then we have ZPL printers and kiosks. Now for those, you do not need an IoT to use it. If you want to automate printing, then you will require an IoT. But we highly recommend to use it. And for kiosk as well, it's really plug and play if you use the IoT. So make sure to take the Raspberry Pi and make sure to have the 5. It will be much quicker on the screen and performance is better.
Actually, if you take a 3 and 4, it's not good enough, I would say, and it will be quite laggy. So when you will click on the button, it will take a few times. So just take something good enough and go for the Raspberry Pi.
Now, maybe before going further, we can start by flashing our IoT because it takes some time. So I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm not sure if you see it, but we have here an IoT. Basically, it's the Raspberry Pi. And like I said, inside you have the SD card, which I'm just going to take right now. So I'm putting the SD card in my adapter. And this I'm going to put here in my computer. Now, you need a software to actually flash the IoT. So it's called Balena Etcher. I'm going to show it just now. And here, basically, you're going to choose the image that you had to download. So you see the image is here. And we have the image, and now we can select the target. Now, pay attention because you have the target, which is the SD card, but you also have here your computer. You can see it's 512 gigabytes. So that's very important to not select that one, otherwise you will have some issues. And now we can flash. And it takes a few moments to flash, so I'm going to do that. So you see it's quite easy. You just download the image, and then you can flash the SD card that we're going to put back into the IoT.
Maybe we can take time to answer the question.
Yes, indeed. So what's the question we have?
So we have done a data integration between Odoo and a GPS application. We have created a new module in Odoo to display longitude and latitude of the GPS application. My question is, how can we display longitude and latitude extracted from that application in the map of Odoo? So first, I have one question about it, is that do you already have those data into Odoo or not? And if not, then you will have to so if you have already the data, it's quite easy. You just have to adapt the view. So wherever you want it, you can just set on the map view the GPS info. Otherwise, if you don't have the data yet, then you will have to implement the code for to be linked to the IoT. So there I can check on my computer actually. Give me 2 seconds. Maybe you can ask the second one, which is quite easy.
Yes, indeed. So greetings, we work in Odoo 15. I want a weekly report on sales and purchases and adding in payment cases for each project. Is that possible? I'm not sure I understand the question correctly.
I think that they want the daily sales reports, and but we don't have them in 15. I think we only have them if you have the Belgian localization. But in 16 and 17, it's available for all the point of sales.
Okay. Maybe let's continue here with the IoT. So the question, can you work without the IoT? I think now you can actually, you know the answer. You can, but basically you need manual encoding if that's the case. So the IoT is going to help you get integration when it's not possible out of the box. So do you always need an integration? Not really. It depends on the transaction volumes. If you have a shop and you have 3 customers per hour, then maybe you will not require to have the integration. Now, if you have a high volume of transaction, then I would definitely advise you to take the integration. Now, for the frequency of operations, let's take the example of printing labels. If you do it once per month, don't go for an integrated way of doing it. You can really just download the report, open it, and then print on the printer. Instead of having it printed automatically, it doesn't really make sense. Now, if you have a really big warehouse with a lot of operation, then I would definitely go for the integration as well. So that's a small guide here to help you choose. So when is the IoT required? Like we said, when the communication protocols are not compatible and when you want to automate printing. And maybe we can actually add a third case here. It's about having the integration plug and play. Like we said with the kiosk, it's really about that, and it makes your connection much more easier. Now, some basic principles of the IoT. So you really need to be in the same network. So the devices, the IoT and the Odoo database need to run on the same network basically to have it function properly. If it's not the case, it's not going to work. What you also need to know is that you need an SSL certificate. This is generated basically when you add the IoT subscription line on your subscription. So you need to contact the commercial representative for it to be done. And basically when that's correctly done, you will see here, we see the IP address. We're going to see it during the setup as well. And after this IP address, you can see we have here a code, basically, which means that the SSL certificate has been correctly generated. That's very important. If you don't have that, it's not going to function correctly. Now, once you have that, you can navigate through the green link that you see here on the SSL, on the homepage of the IoT, where you get plenty of info. We're going to see that as well. Now, if you don't have access to the page, it's a very good indication that you're probably not on the same network, that you might have some DNS and firewall configuration that are going to prevent you from getting on the page and the IoT functioning properly, or just that the IoT is down. Okay, so I see that the IoT here, the card has been flashed, so I think we can move forward with the installation of the IoT. So I'm just going to remove here my SD card. I'm going into the database, and what you need to do basically is go on the IoT app. Let me maybe just remove that one because we don't need it anymore. I'm going to delete it, and you can actually press on connect. Now we need to put the SD card into the Raspberry Pi, so I'm just going to insert it. And just a small tip here, what's actually the best to do, it's a best practice, is to plug the IoT after connecting all the hardware that you would need for it to function. So what we have here that can be used with an IoT is a scale. Okay, so we're going to see how we can connect that. It's very simple. So you have a cable basically, and you need to use the cable of Mettler Toledo. So it's the proprietary cable. It's the RJ45, if I'm not mistaken. And so you have the USB here, and you just need to connect to the Raspberry Pi. So you have a USB basically here. If you can see, you have, of course, the Ethernet port. So the IoT needs to be plugged to the network. You can either do it by Wi-Fi or Ethernet, but really we highly recommend to use Ethernet connection. It's way more stable, and if the IoT is not stable, then you will have an issue. And so Ethernet always. And then you have 4 ports here available to connect printers, scales, devices that you might need. And then we have the power button, and we also have some micro HDMI ports, and then another one that is not going to be used. So what I did here is that I connected my HDMI port to micro HDMI to the IoT, which I'm going to connect basically on a second screen that you will be able to see at some point. So the screen is going to help us retrieve the IP address of the IoT and the pairing code that we need to connect the IoT box to Odoo. Now you can do it this way with a second screen, with a second display, but you could also do it with a label printer or a receipt printer that you plug by USB on the IoT, and then it's going to print the IP address where you can navigate on the home page of the IoT and retrieve the pairing code, or the pairing code is going to appear on the screen right here. So I plugged the scale, I plugged also the ZPL printer, and we have a second one as well. I plugged the Ethernet cable, so make sure to do that as well. And the Ethernet cable, of course, needs to be plugged to a switch, to a router. You need to have the source network that's coming. Good, so I think we can power the IoT on. And if you do plug the devices before powering the IoT, it's very important because during the boot, basically, it's going to detect the devices. If you don't, we have options for that as well, but let's do it properly. So I'm plugging the IoT now, and what I'm going to do is make sure that we open the screen here. And now we need to wait a bit.
Yeah, so maybe you can take time to answer the other question. So I will maybe finish with the question about the GPS application. So if your GPS is connected directly to the IoT, then what you can do is to integrate the IoT handlers / drivers further in your own database module, like if you are on Odoo SH, for example. But otherwise, by default, we can't really do it in Odoo. So it will be either with API calls or by developing a module for the GPS. And then it's what I said about the views. You have to adapt the views and just inject the data in the views. So we have also a question from Nicodem, who is saying that he would like to configure the database so the sales and the collection outside of the internet network are loaded once I'm connected to the internet. So if you talked about point of sales, then you have to be connected when you start the point of sale. And when you start the point of sale, every product, every client will be loaded, and you will be able to do the sales. And once you will be disconnected, it will be stored in the browser. And once you got the internet back, everything will be sent to the server, so everything will be synchronized. If you are talking about sales app, then we do not support it, and I don't think we will support it ever.
Okay. Now I'm seeing that the IoT is basically running its code, so that's exactly what you should have when you try to connect the IoT. So we saw the 4 Raspberry Pis, and we saw
Maybe
some
they
code.
don't show it, I don't know.
I can go to the screen, but it's black, so
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's still doing some magic here. So we're waiting basically for the home page of the IoT to appear, so we can get the IP address of the IoT and the pairing code as well. Okay, good. So here you can see we have the IP address of the IoT. Now what I do is I always take a picture when I need to connect to clients, because at some point this image is going to disappear. But basically here you can see the pairing code, and this pairing code we're going to enter into the database to do the pairing. So I'm just going to take it, and I hope I am writing it correctly. But if I navigate now on the IP address of my device, You will see the page is not secure because here we are on a test database basically, but you can see the pairing code appearing here as well. So that's a second option to connect the IoT basically to the database. Now you could also, but that's a bit more technical. So we spoke about 3 options to retrieve the IP, the screen and the printers. You could also access the router configuration and see basically all the devices that are in the network, and there you can get the IP. Now let's just do it the classic way, and I'm going to paste here the code and I'm going to pair the IoT. Now during this process, don't refresh the page, just wait until the IoT has been installed. We're exchanging some code here for the setup to be correctly. Now once the IoT has been connected, it's going to detect all the devices in the same network or the devices that are basically plugged on the IoT directly. Okay, so that's very important. If you don't see the devices, there is a high chance they're not connected basically on the same network.
Maybe we can change the page to
Yes.
that is displayed. So here that
Indeed.
you can see that the page refreshed and now it's connecting to the database. So right now we don't have any devices. We don't see the pairing code anymore because you won't need it. So basically now we just have to wait till we saw the device.
Exactly. So I'm here in the database. I just duplicated the page to see if we see basically the IoT here. It's not yet the case, so we can wait a few minutes and we can move maybe to the other points that we want to show you today because it's really important. So basically we have indeed a physical and a virtual IoT. So like I said, the physical one is a Raspberry Pi. It runs Odoo code by flashing the SD card. That's what we did here with Banana Etcher. And we have drivers and printer server that is built in the IoT. This one is paid, so you need to pay for it. And when you do pay for it, you get also the Raspberry Pi. We send it to you. The virtual one is only available from 16 databases. And it's only available on Windows as well. And here we rely on the drivers of your computer basically to run the devices. So if you install a printer, you really need to make sure it's installed on the computer and that you have the available drivers as well. But here the difference is that the pricing is free. Now we don't really recommend to have the IoT on all setups. We're going to discuss that as well. So how many IoTs do I need? That's also a question that we get a lot. So you get it now. It's based on the network. We're going to discuss that as well. So you need to be on the same network for them to function. So there again, you see if you have different physical location, you will need at least 2 different IoTs. What's important as well is that you need to take into account the physical proximity of hardware and the number of ports. If the different devices need to be plugged directly on the IoT, it makes sense. The cables that we have here from the scales and the ZPL printers are not very, very long, so you need to take this into account to see how many IoTs you need. Now, if it's a network-based printer, there you can just connect it with one IoT. And then we have just a, yeah, go ahead.
Go.
I was just going to finish up with the technical constraints. So if you have payment terminals that need the IoT, you need one IoT per payment terminal, like Worldline and Ingenico. Because it's a technical constraint, we need basically an exclusive path to communicate with the payment terminal.
Regarding the device detection, we have a question which is about, does device detection on the IoT work correctly without having immediately entered the company code when you're in test phase? So for payment terminals, it's a bit more tricky because you have to enter most of the time the IP of the terminals of the IoT on the terminals, and you have to configure the communication method. And once it's done properly, then you will be able to see the device on the IoT. But most of the time, you will be able to see all the device, all the others device, but not the terminals. That's it.
Okay. So indeed, you need to be mindful of the setup in order to basically determine the number of IT devices that you need. Now, when to use the physical or the virtual, that's basically what we recommend. Let's show it in images. it's to have one client running on the device, basically on which you are going to download the virtual IoT. And this computer needs to directly communicate with the printers. So what we do not want is to have one virtual IoT installed, communicating with a printer payment terminal, and having a second computer like Robin on his laptop trying to send a payment on the payment terminal, trying to print a receipt. That's really the setup we do not advise. So what you need to do basically is just deduplicate the hardware, and then it's going to function properly. Okay. Now with the physical IoT, you do not have that restriction. It's a bit technical, but basically that's why we do not advise to have that.
Well, actually, you could make it work, but it's not really an issue because in the end it's good, but it's for Windows security, so it's by default blocks everything to make sure that your network stays secured. And so you could bypass this by just disabling all the security that you have, but we don't suggest it at all.
Indeed, just if you have various devices, like in a restaurant, you have like one checkout, you have various tablets, we really recommend you to take the physical IoT. So some tips, like we said, just plug the devices prior to powering the IoT. When certain devices are plugged to the IoT, we're going to see that together, it's best to all make them go through the IoT. So if you have an EPOS printer, make sure to make it go through the IoT. Install the required modules prior to connecting the IoT. So if you are connecting a Wordline, make sure the module is installed previously. With the black box, it's the same. And use a static IP address. So if you have a dynamic one, you can have issues, especially when you work with payment terminals, for which you need to enter the IP address of the IoT. And then just install one virtual IoT per computer. Also, don't use the Odoo app with the IoT. Go for the progressive web app, so the PWA, that's available since I think version 18 or 17.4.
17.4, I would say.
And then for the virtual IoT, you can download the community module instead of enterprise. Now, what you really need to know as well is that if you do not have the IoT subscription, the IoT subscription line, you will not be able to generate the SSL certificate, which is really needed for the IoT to be connected to Odoo and work properly. But we have done some improvements here in the latest versions where we're going to give access basically to everybody, and this check is just going to come like I think 2 months after or something like that. So the process is going to be much smoother there.
Yeah, so basically you will just press on the connect button on the IoT apps, and then it will try to find an IoT on your network, and if it detects one, then you will be automatically connected to the IoT, and you will have line generated on your license and on your subscription, and you will have 2 months to pay this line.
Exactly. So here you need to know that if you have 2 IoT boxes, the quantity also needs to be 2 on the subscription line. Otherwise, you just generate 1 SSL or the new name TLS certificate for your IoT. Now, the network is very important here as well. You need to be on the same network. You must use Ethernet over Wi-Fi because it's more stable. At least that's what we advise. And some network configuration can also block the setup. If you have a lot of restrictions with firewalls, this might really cause an issue. We also were going to show you the setting basically, but you should use Cloudflare or Google DNS. I'm going to do it in a few seconds. Don't use guest networks, it's not going to work. And if you have also subnetworks or extenders that create subnetworks, this can also really be problematic basically for the installation of the IoT. And if you have a second router, then you would need to actually put it in bridge mode. So let me show you here. So you have 2 routers. One basically is not going to give the network anymore. You just have one, and it's that one that's also going to do the assignation of the IP addresses in the network. Okay. So keep in mind, this guide you can actually find on our smart class. So if you go basically here, let me show you. I think we have the IoT troubleshooting part here, and you can actually find the guide, and we also have a nice link with an Excalibur that's going to help you really troubleshoot if you actually run into some issues. So it's just loading, but we have our 3 pillars, so the IoT subscription. Of course, the connection needs to be correctly set up, the configuration needs to be set up correctly, and then the network. So you can take a look at that. Okay, so I think we're done here with the theory, basically. So what we can do is jump into our database, and what you can see here indeed is that we have the IoT. Now it's looking up for devices. Let me maybe refresh the page. So we do not, so we have here the SSL certificate that's directly generated. That's probably because of the new version that was set up. Now, if you need to change the DNS configuration, you need to do that also for each browser, each computer on which you're going to use and communicate with the IoT, basically. So each browser, and if I'm not mistaken, you can also do the configuration on the router, and it's going to be available for the whole network, but that's a bit more technical. So here I'm going to show you how to do. You go to settings, you search for DNS, you go to security, and here if you scroll down, you have select DNS provider. You need to take Cloudflare or Google DNS, and that's going to be, you're not going to have issues then.
Don't forget to tick this box as well, otherwise you won't be able to see this option. So make sure that is on.
Okay. Good, so let's go ahead. So here we see we detect 26 devices. Now we have a lot of printers here in Louvain-la-Neuve, but you see all the network-based printers we are going to detect with the IoT. We also see our Zebra printer. So we have 2 here, you can see them, I hope. We also have the display that's connected to the IoT, and we also have the Mettler Toledo scale that we plug directly here to our IoT box. So you see it's not that difficult, basically. And now, what can we do next?
Can you go to the page?
Yes, on the IoT homepage. So here, the IoT homepage, if you get to that page, it's already a very good sign. And here you can see different info.
Maybe what we can show as well, if you go directly to the IP, so... Oh.
Yeah, that's fine. It's a new window.
There you see that the connection is not secure, but since we have what Hermine showed you earlier, the numbers here, which is the DNS, and we made the correct configuration in the browser, then we have access to this page, and this page is secure. So basically, you need the IoT subscription to make sure that it is secure and you don't have issues to contact the IoT.
Yeah, exactly. So here what you can see is the name of the Raspberry Pi. You could change the name if needed, if you have various and you need to make sure to know which one is one. You also have the version here. That's very interesting to know, because if you run into some issues, the support might ask you what is the version of the image that you have added. Of course, you have the IP address here that you can also find here in the URL. You have the MAC address, so that's the unique identifier here of our Raspberry Pi, basically. You might need to communicate it you will need to communicate it for the black box only. All other applications, it's not the case. We can see here we're connected via Ethernet, and of course we see the database that's connected to the IoT. Now, maybe a tip that can be used, if you need to connect another database to the IoT, what you can do, by clicking on connect, you can take here the token. And by selecting this token, you can just copy it here on your clipboard. And if you go to configure and you enter the server token here, and of course you click on connect, it's going to change the DB that's connected to the IoT. And here you see the different devices. So here again, we have all the printers, we have the scale, the Mettler Toledo scale, and the display. Good, so the IoT is up and running. So I think we can maybe move forward with, I would say, the printer. So we are going to set up our POS, basically.
Yeah.
And we can show you today how to connect the printer. Like we said, if it's an EPOS printer, you can just connect the printer. If I go here into my point of sale, you can connect it here via the EPOS printer configuration. If it's not an EPOS one or an EPOS one with USB, then you need to go here via the IoT box, and we're going to show you how to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe we can start with connecting the EPOS printer alone. So for that, what we're going to do, maybe we can show, so we have our printer here. And of course, we connected the printer to the Ethernet. Now you cannot really see the cable, it's a bit far away, but it's just an Ethernet-based connection.
Yes.
What we also did is that we plugged here, maybe we can show that. So that's a cable. I don't know if I can move until there, let's see.
I can move it.
So we have here the cache drawer.
Yeah.
And we have the printer compatible port that we're going to connect here into the special port of the printer. And this will make sure that when you print a ticket here, it's going basically to open the cache drawer. Okay. I'm just unplugging here the, I'm going to power it off so we can actually show you the process from the beginning.
But by the way, it means that you cannot have a cache drawer that doesn't work without the printers.
Or you need to go fully manual, but it's not really what we expect. Okay. So I'm just going to unplug it here, power it off. Or maybe, do it here. Maybe you can see if you can power it off. So we start from the beginning. And what you need to know is that when we have connected the Ethernet cable or the Wi-Fi to the printer, it's going to get an IP address as well. Okay, so this IP address you will need to basically enter here. So we're just waiting here because it's going to print basically a small paper that we have here from previous demos. And the IP address that's on the paper is going to need to be entered basically here into the point of sale. After that, we still need to do a few configuration as well. So we need also an SSL certificate. Great, so here we have the ticket. Now you cannot really see it, but the IP address is basically on the ticket, and I'm going to navigate via my browser to the IP address of the printer. So it's 42, I hope it's fine. So why do you need to do that? Because we also need to do some configuration, the SSL certificates for the printer. Now, if you connect the printer via the IoT, the SSL certificate is going to pass through the IoT. So it's a bit more easy to do like that, but you'll see it's not that complicated to export and import the SSL certificate because the printer needs to communicate in a secure way. Okay, so here I'm on the Epson platform. That's a new platform of Epson. If you're on the old one, it will probably ask you a password and a username to log in. So the username is Epson, if I'm not mistaken,
it's Epson.
Written in small, and the password is basically the serial number of your printer. So here what you need to do is go to Advanced Settings.
Connecte-toi. Administration.
Pardon?
Connecte-toi à administration. En haut à droite.
I'm not sure here, indeed, but we can actually download the certificate here as well.
I think we will generate it, so they will see how it looks.
Okay, so we can indeed. So what we're doing here, we're going to enter the serial number of the printer.
And, actually, on the new models, you have the password directly,
Okay.
so it's
69
85
85
58
58
32.
32. Okay, good. So I hope we're going to log into. I'm just going to make the screen a bit bigger.
Okay. So now basically what we will do is that we will generate the certificate for the printers.
Yeah, I'm just going to let you do that.
Then we can go to network security, and then here in SSL TLS we have the certificate. Here the one which interests us is this one, the self-signed certificate, and actually we will update it. So we want to make sure that it's the correct one, and here basically you will keep everything the same, so you make sure that the date is to 10, and we just have to change this, and we will just keep the IP here. So you delete everything but the IP, and then you will just press next, and you make sure that everything is correct, and then you press OK. Now our printer is restarting, and we are generating the self-signed certificate.
Maybe in between, while it's generating, we can show you another thing that you need to do into the database. So you need to add a system parameter. And for that, we have the documentation online. So if you go to EPOS printers, you will see here some documentation with a system parameter you need to add. So basically, it's going to enforce the fact that we're working in secure. So if we go back in the database, I'm just going to duplicate that page. Now, to go to the system parameters, you need to be in debug mode, if I'm not mistaken. And here, I think I have it already, or actually not. So I'm going to create a new one. I'm entering the key, and the value is just true. Okay, so that you also need to do. And what we're doing here basically is a step with a self-signed certificate, and you will find all info in the online documentation. Now I'm just going to go back here in the Epson platform.
Yeah, basically now we just have to wait.
Yeah, we need to wait a bit. But what I can maybe do already is enter here the IP address of the printer. So 21.42, and that's it. And we're going to test it after, once we have imported the SSL certificate.
Maybe we can because we are waiting, we can maybe answer the question.
Yes.
Because we have few of them. So the one for the warehouse. So we have a question about warehouses. I can't see it anymore.
Yeah, but we have an interesting question as well with the e-wallets here.
Yeah.
Maybe, and that's really post-related. So indeed, how can we integrate the sales application e-wallet functionality with the POS system? The e-wallet amounts generated in the sales app are not displaying correctly in the customer POS app. Okay, so maybe let me show you that. So if you have a point of sale application, you need to check here the promotion programs and the coupons. And you see here the gift card and loyalty programs are activated as well. And of course the e-wallet as well. It's the same module basically that's used here, but in different ways with different configurations. But it's all the same. So now it's loading the module. So if you go to products and you go to gift card and e-wallet, you will see here that we can create basically an e-wallet program. I'm just going to name it. And here you have, of course, the e-wallet product, the top-up e-wallet that you need to use. And of course, you need to select on which app it's going to be usable. So point of sale, sales, and website are all checked here. So let's go ahead and maybe I'm going to continue selling. And let's log here with, I'm going to create Robin as a customer. And I'm going to use this e-wallet product. So that's a product that's going to top up our e-wallet. If you want, you can actually change the price as well. Let's say we're actually topping up 75 euros. If Robin is not selected, of course, it's difficult to say on which account we need to add the e-wallet. So exactly. So here I'm just going to validate that. And if I now select a product here in my cart, I select Robin. You see we have the e-wallet balance that appears. So if I select the client here, you will, via the action button, see that you can actually pay with the e-wallet. And if you click on that, you will see we have 12 euros deducted. You can move to the payment. And if I go now into the back end, you can also follow everything up here. So you have the e-wallet, and you can see that the balance is 63, so it moved from 75 to 63, basically. So that's how you can integrate the e-wallet. Now, how is it going with the printer?
You can just refresh the page and it should be fine.
We can refresh the page, and I'm letting you maybe show the configuration.
So now, basically, the certificate is generated, but we don't have it on the browser, so we will just download it and make it available for us. So you click here and you go to details for the certificate, and there you can export the certificate from the printers.
Make sure that the IP address is correct, because sometimes it's empty, so you really need to make sure it has been correctly generated. So
basically here what I did is I just download the file with so it's the IP, and then you will add .clt, and you will save. And now from the browser, so here I'll go to settings. I will type certificate, security, and there you have manage certificates. You go to authorities and you can import. There it's this one. Yeah. You will trust everything, and basically it's done. We can see it here. So I have my IP under the Epson tabs, and if I just copy this, maybe I will have to restart my browser. We will see it. Up. And now you see you don't have the anymore the not secure button.
Perfect. Okay, so let's try now to see if in the point of sale we can actually do it. Yeah, let's go ahead. Now, maybe what I should have checked if I go back here in the point of sale configuration is to have the automatic printing option basically. So just going here, need to do that under point of sale, and here you have the automatic receipt printing. Okay, so that's good. I'm going to select it. So every time the order is validated, basically the order is going to be printed automatically. And when you enter here the ePOS printer, remember we link the cash drawer to the ePOS printer. You can just select that you want the integration. And let's go ahead and test it. I hope we don't need to restart the computer, but let's check. So here we have just a product in our cart. We can move to the payments. I'm going to open the cash box here manually, but so I don't see if you saw it, but basically it's opened. But I see I don't have a cash method installed, so we're going to do that next. So I'm going to pay by card. I'm going to validate. And now you see that the ticket is printing automatically. So I hope you saw that on the camera, but here you have the ticket with the product. And basically, yes, the logo is missing, but this you can easily set up. Maybe we can show you how to do that. But basically...
the default settings.
Yeah, indeed, it's in the document.
Settings.
Here, and it's on the document, basically.
No, it's on the company.
Yes, but I think you can add it on the document as well.
And
yeah, indeed, here. And here you have basically the logo that you can add. Now, what I can maybe do is go and take Odoo's logo, so we can do it together. Let's go ahead and take, I hope, this image. Save image as Odoo. Okay. And let's go ahead and add it. Okay, here. So now we have the logo. Perfect. Let's go ahead and maybe print another ticket then. And we can actually create maybe our cash method. So I'm going to close my POS here because otherwise it's not going to let us do the changes. So what you need to know is that you're going to create basically, of course, one POS per physical location that you have. The other constraint is that you need to create one POS per cash drawer because you need one cash method that's unique, and that's going to help you follow up the opening and the closing amounts basically based on the transactions of the day. So here I'm going to create another cash. Of course, you need to create a cash journal. That's specific. So here I'm just going to select type cash. I'm going to select an account. I'm probably going to need to create one. So I'm going to do that right now. Cash shop. It's type cash bank and cash. Now the best practice is to do it via the chart of accounts, and you just duplicate the account that's the most close to just copy all the configuration correctly. Now I'm going to just put a profit account and expense account here for the Belgian accounting, and I'm going to save, and I think we're ready to go, but of course you need to add this cash payment here in my shop. Okay, so let's go ahead and test it again. So here you see we have the opening control. I will just put opening amount. I'm going to do a new transaction here. Let's pay by cash. And I'm going to validate. Voila. So be just careful because Robin had his computer here. But basically we have the ticket here. I don't know if you see it, but we have the logo at the top. And the cash drawer just opened as well correctly. So that's really nice. Okay, so maybe we can move with the scanner. Okay, so when you use a point of sale, you will probably use a scanner as well to scan your different products. Now, so what you need to know with a scanner, not that much. You can take any scanner basically that you want. Here we have a USB scanner. Now, I would suggest to take a Bluetooth one because if you work with tablets, you're not going to be blocked because of the available ports that you have on the tablet. So it would be actually better to have a Bluetooth. But anyways, we're going to do it with that one. So the scanner just works like a keyboard, basically. So it's going to read the code. And for that, you need to make sure that the keyboard of your computer, and I'm going to show you here my configuration. So here we can see that it's the Belgian one. And what you need to do, so Robin has here the guide of the Netum scanner. And you have here basically barcodes that correspond to each country. Okay, so I don't see Belgium here, but I see France. So we're going to try it with that.
It will be a different keyboard, so we should have Belgian.
Okay, so we're just going through the documentation here. Robin is going to search. Maybe what we can do in the meantime, yes?
Déjà configuré, non?
Yes, but with France it works actually properly. But here, so I'm going to create a new product. So let's say a cola, and I have here a barcode basically. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And of course you can print the labels. We're going to see that after together. And if you print, for instance, here the demo label, let's go ahead and take a look. So here basically you get the barcode that you entered on the product. Okay, now let's go ahead and test it. So you see we have the barcode here. I've printed beforehand, of course, some labels here. Let's go ahead and test it. So the idea would be to, of course, scan the language to set up the scanner on the same language as your keyboard. Otherwise, you're going to see some weird characters on the screen, and it's not going to properly read the barcode. And if you're using a specific nomenclature, a barcode nomenclature, it's going to be interesting to scan it as well, so the scanner knows how to read the barcode, basically. So let's go ahead. I'm going to try it here. So what you see is that the barcode scanner has read properly the barcode. So basically we're ready to check that into the point of sale. You don't need to do much. Now I'm just going to refresh my page so the product can be found. I'm going to scan, and here you see our product is directly scanned as well. Okay. Maybe what's interesting to mention here, you can use barcodes in different ways. So if we, for instance, go on the barcode nomenclature, which is configured into the point of sale, you can see that we have here some customer barcodes, also weighted and price barcodes. It works the same way. Okay, so what you just need to pay attention to is the barcode pattern, which you see here on product barcodes. It reads any. Okay, so you don't need to have a particular pattern for the barcode to be read, but the customer barcode needs to start with 042. Of course, if needed, you can change that. So here you have the possibility to edit that. And if you go now back on the customer, so let's use Robin again. Contact. I don't seem to have the application, so let's go ahead and add it. And I'm going to install it. Of course, it takes a few seconds. Let us wait a bit. Good. So now I'm going to take the contact of Robin. And here in the tab, basically sales. Yeah, it's going to open in a few seconds, I hope. Okay, so here in the sales and purchase tab, you have the barcode that you can set up. So I'm starting with 042, so we know it's a customer barcode, and then you can just enter a specific sequence, okay? So if I copy that and I go back into my point of sale, now what's very interesting is that you can simulate barcode scanning here with the debug window. And if I entered here the barcode of Robin, just take a look here at my screen, what happens. If I scan, you will see Robin is directly identified. So you can use that nomenclature as well for weighted barcodes, for price barcodes. You just need to follow up the pattern and it's going to work.
Something. In order to have access to the debug mode windows, you need to be in debug. So you have two ways to do it. Either you go to the backend that I will show it later, or you can just type in the URL debug equals to 1. And if you want to do it from the backend, actually, if I can delete it, okay. And go to backend, and there in the settings, you scroll down, and there you can activate the developer mode. And from there, you will have also access to the point of sale directly in debug mode. And from there, you will be able to access these settings.
You know what we didn't do actually, Robin? We didn't add a customer display for the moment.
true.
Can you maybe show how we can actually do that? So we have the customer display here that we can also show. So now for the moment it's plugged to the IoT, but we do not need this display anymore on the IoT. So I'm just going to unplug it basically. But we should connect.
We could do it with the IoT actually.
Yes, okay. So I'm just going to plug it again.
So basically here,
Just a second. Yes.
when you go to the configuration, we can get rid of this configuration and do not use the ePOS printer. We will go directly with the IoT. So with the IoT, here I can see I have several printers and I want the good one. And so if I have multiple ones, here I have the identifier, and basically we can see the IP here. So it's this one, it's 1050 121.42, so it's this one. And for the customer display, I have the one which is linked directly to my IoT box. So I can just do it and I can save. And now if I open my shop again, it should work just like that. So
But we see nothing. Maybe I can open it. And of course, you can connect a second screen as well with an HDMI cable that you just plug to the to your computer, and then of course it's going to work just like a second screen. So here you see the customer display. Yeah.
Normally we should be able to see it on the screen, but
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. We have a particular setup here because we need to show you the screen as well, so maybe that's the issue.
So what's the box
Normally-
that's sending video?
normally it's just one, so it's the same.
We should just have the image actually coming here, but
And
because
what was the last one, the one before?
No, it was correct. Yes.
yeah, we plugged the IoT basically on the HDMI cable, but we have this adapter here, you know, to display it on the big screen.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we can wait a bit to see if we... No, it should actually be displayed here.
But well, basically you should have the same thing on the IoT screen. But I'll check the
Indeed,
configuration.
maybe what we can do in the meantime is connect the ADN payment terminal.
Yeah. I'll
So
let you
I
do
can
it.
show you actually how to connect. We have here an ADN payment terminal. So what you need to do for that is go on the ADN platform. Okay. So for the moment here, I'm on the ADN platform. I'm in the test mode. Okay. And I'm going in my in-person payments, and here you can see all the different terminals. Okay, so I'm logged out, so I will need to log again, and I need my phone for that because we have a double authentication. So basically, I'm just going to put here my username. I'm going to add my account, my password, and I'm going to log in. Okay, so no double authentication this time. And now I'm going to search basically for my terminal. So I know that's the model 4598. So I'm just going to click here, and you can see indeed it ends with 45.98. Good, so I have my terminal here. So let's go ahead and see what we can do basically in the in Odoo. Okay, so here we do not need any IoT. ADN works via API like we discussed. So I'm going here, my click has some issues in the payment methods. But previous to that, you actually need to go into the settings and you need to select the ADN module. Okay, so once the ADN module is connected, you will get the option to connect it as a payment terminal. So I'm going back on the payment methods here, and I'm going to create a new method, so basically the ADN one. And you will need to link it with a bank journal. Now, the best thing to do is to link it with a journal, the bank journal on which the amounts are going to be transferred from the payment provider. We have an outstanding account here. I do suggest you to configure one so you can find all the amounts that have been booked from ADN on that specific account. So it's really a best practice to do that. And then you can go here in the terminal, you can integrate with ADN, it's the only module we have activated. And here you will need to add some ADN API keys, the ADN terminal identifier as well. So I'm just going to go on the platform and the identifier is here and you can basically copy it on your clipboard. So I'm just going to enter that and then we're going to find the API keys. So for the API keys, you need to go into the developer tab, and here you have API credentials. So you can either use one that you have already, or you can create a new. So let's go ahead and create a new. It's very small, so I don't see everything, but basically let me give a name. So here it's Odoo Insider. Create a credential. Good, and here you can generate the API keys. So you see we have generated some, I'm going to copy them. Make sure to save, because if you don't save it, you are going to have an issue because we don't have the right APIs. So I'm going to just click here and copy them. And here we need to also configure the event URL, okay? So go back on the platform, we're going to go to the terminals. We're going to find, of course, the one that we're using, it's that one. And if you go into integration, and here we just need to be in decrypted mode to change the event URL. You need to basically change that part and of course leave the post ADN notification one. So I think it's good.
There is a H at the end, I don't know.
Okay.
Oh,
No, it's the notification.
Okay.
So I think we can edit the URL. Is it the correct one? Yes, I think so. Let's save. And let's go ahead and check. So we are in test mode. Not all payment terminals have this test mode, but here ADN does, so let's use it. And of course, we will need to add this payment method in one of our point of sales.
We have to close the
To do that, indeed, we need to close. It's a bit annoying, but anyways, we are going to proceed. I'm going back into the configurations. In the settings, and here indeed you can add the ADN one. Good. Let's go ahead and check what happens. So here I have some test cards, of course. With the test mode we get that. And I'm going to open the register and let's pay some products. Okay, so of course you need to select the ADN mode. Once you do that, okay, so here we have an issue with the credentials. Okay, let's go back on the so I'm just going to remove actually the payment. For that you can go here and remove the payments so we don't run into any issues after. Let's close and let's go back. So what I think I did wrong here, maybe I didn't save correctly the API keys. Let's go ahead and check again. So it was in developers, credentials. Okay, and let's search for the ones, Odoo Insider. So it's here. Okay. And let's get a look. So I'm going to generate a new one. I'm going to copy it and I'm going to save the changes. Okay, so let's go ahead and see if it's the same. Odoo Insider. Okay, so here I have them. Let's see if it's the same. It doesn't seem to be the same.
Yeah, it's
no,
the same. It's the same.
exactly, it's the same. Yes. Okay, let's go ahead and test again. I'm just going to remove everything. Let's paste it again. Okay, now I think it should be fine.
Yeah, I think you had the IP or something because it was way less stronger.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let's open the register again and let's go ahead and do the transaction. Hopefully this time, yeah. So you see here, it's sending actually the amount on the terminal. It's waiting for the card. So here you have the 12 euros that you need to pay. I'm just going to use the test card. I hope it's a good one. It needs to authorize the transaction. And once it has authorized the transaction, it's going to validate the order just there. So it's still processing. So you see the authorized, it's running. Let's see what happens. It's taking a bit of time actually. Yeah, it's connected via
Was
the
it in
Wi-Fi.
Discord?
Maybe it was this one. We can try again if it's not. Let's see what happens. So it's still running. Let's see.
Can you cancel and maybe
Yeah,
try with the other
we will
card?
cancel and we'll do it again. So I'm just canceling here as well. So it should be refused here. Okay. Good. So let's go here and we're going to remove the payment. Okay. And let's try again. So just going back, taking this product. Let's maybe
refresh the page.
Yeah, I'm going to refresh and I'm going to maybe add another amount as well. So here we have 13, 18. Okay, so we seem to have a network issue here. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, let's try again. Okay, so the amount is here on the terminal, so it's €1.75. I'm going to pay. It's still running, it's doing the authorization and it's approved this time. So we will get the signal in the database as well.
But
So I'm just going to continue here.
it should be already sent. So maybe we have an issue with the event URL.
Yeah, okay, but
So should we configure the webhooks for this?
good. So maybe you can take a look
What is the ADN one?
here. You need to go to in-person payments.
So this is I just cancel when. Okay, so
You need to go to orders indeed.
payments. I will remove the payments. So okay, I will just refresh, make sure that everything is clean, and I will close the register. I have no cash, so it's fine. I can just close. And then in the payment configuration, we have ADN here, and the event URL seems to not be correct. So
You need to go to in-person payments and then
this
terminals. And it's the second one, yeah. And then integration, and you get the configuration. But it seems correct, so that's what I... no, you have 2 times, you see it, post ADN notification. So you need to go to decrypted at the top. And then actually I have post ADN underscore and then notification twice actually. That could be it.
It is it.
And then you edit, perfect, and you save.
Is it safe? Okay.
Okay, let's try again then.
maybe then we can take time to answer a few questions
Yes.
because I see that there is a lot.
Exactly. Maybe let's just finish that and then we
Uh,
jump into the questions.
So we have the payment again,
Okay, I'm just paying. So it's
and
authorized.
there you have the ticket. And
Okay,
everything is
great.
generated.
Good. So you need to pay attention when you
And you
you
copy paste.
enter. Yeah, you copy paste that. Okay, good. So maybe we can go ahead and answer some questions.
Is there any? Not really. So what for the printers? So we have a question. Is there any alternative options to set up multiple printers without an IoT box? So basically, if you want to do it, you will have to do multiple point of sales, or if it's just to send something to the kitchen. Let's say that you have two printers in the kitchen, one for the bar and one for the food, and one for the cashier, so it makes 3. You will have one set it up here in the config. So let's go to the backend. You will have the main one for the receipt here, but you can also, if you have a bar actually, up, new. We don't have post restaurant, maybe. I will check more settings. And then we have it. And there we have the, what is it? I never know what is the setting, so I'll just go from this way. It's kitchen, actually. Or preparation.
I think it's preparation.
Yeah, but it was display. Where is it?
If you're looking for the preparation display, it's the first one.
No, I'm looking for the preparation printers.
Then I can show you through the database. If you go to point of sale, and then you go to products, and there,
Yeah.
no, it's not there actually. Report, maybe orders,
I'll check here.
but I think you need to check it first in the settings.
Preparation printers there, and then we have, so we can go there. Yep, save. And then we can create a new printer that will be like, for example, the kitchen,
We can actually use that one here.
and we can use the IoT and just select the one. Let's take the other one, for example. We could take this one, or you could just use the Epson printer and you could do it without an IoT. But this won't be the one that you use for the tickets. If you want another printer for the tickets, then you will have to do another configuration.
Okay, good. Maybe a last question before moving on. So here you have a question from Mario. So what's the recommended approach for reconciling summer payments with Odoo sales data? Should I be looking into IoT connection to establish more direct link, or is it more practical to periodically import the collective bank statement entries generated by SumUp into Odoo and reconcile them there against the open items? Actually, the IoT is not going to help you with that. The only thing the IoT is going to do for payment terminals for the moment is send the amount like we saw on the payment terminal directly without needing to encode it manually, and validate or refuse the transaction depending on the response you got from the payment provider. And maybe we will be integrated refund payments as well, but that's it. That's what the integration does. Basically, it's not helping reconciling anything automatically. So here, indeed, what you suggest, you do not need to look into the IoT connection because we also do not have the developed module for SumUp. But you can use it manually, basically, and indeed you import the bank statement entries, and then you just book it against what you have booked as a payment in the sales application. Now, if you use the point of sale application, the difference there is that you are not going to have one journal entry per payment, but a grouped one for each session that you close, okay, and for each payment that you use into the point of sale. With the global amount you use, the global amount, that's the sum of the different transactions used with this paid with this payment method. Good.
Maybe the last one.
Yes.
So we have a question from Pavel, which says, in a restaurant setup using Odoo POS, is there a way to include the floor plan name on the printed kitchen tickets? We want the kitchen to know from which area the order come. So not natively, but what you can do actually is to rename the tables.
Yeah, my click is not working properly.
So then let's make a test one, and you go to floors. Will I? And there you can add the table, and if, for example, it's the let's say terrace, you will do 1 then 01, and if it's inside, you will put 2.01, and so it's a way to know if it's outside or inside. But right now it's the only way we can really do it. Otherwise, it's not possible natively. But it's one of the feedback, so maybe later it will be done.
Okay, great. So maybe we can move forward and show how the scale integration actually works. And then we might, if we have still some time, show the ZPL printers. So here I have the scale. So remember, we connected it to the Raspberry Pi at the beginning of our setup. So if we go now into the IoT module, you will see that the printer, the scale, is actually detected. So that's quite good. So what we need to do now is go into the point of sale application, go back via our settings here, and here you see electronic scale. Now, if you have various scales that you need to use, you will also need to create different point of sales. Basically, as you see, we just have one point of sale, one scale with which we can communicate per point of sale. So that's something you need to take into account as well when you think about creating your different point of sales. Same for the printer, so you can share the same printer via from the two different point of sales configurations, but if you need one printer per point of sale, there again you will need to create a new point of sale. So I mean that by this. Good, so I have here my scale. Now what we need to make sure is to have a product that we can basically weight. So let's say we just create some coffee. So point of sale needs to be checked, otherwise the product is not going to be loaded into the point of sale. And you need to make sure here to have a weighted unit of measure. So let's take kilograms here for the example, and I'm going to adapt the price. So let's say 10 euros per kilogram. And here we have the point of sale, and you need to check here to weight with scale. And I think that's it. I'm not forgetting anything. So let's go ahead and test it basically. So this can be removed, that as well. Let's go to our point of sale. I have too many tabs open here, so let's remove a few. Okay, so let's go ahead and shop. So here I'm going to find my coffee. And from the moment you have that product with to weight in the POS, it's going to open this pop-up that you can see. And now we can actually weight a product. Now, I don't have anything that resembles coffee, but let's do it here with my water bottle. So you can see there is just a small lag here there to get the weight. But so here you can see it weighs 70 grams, 700 grams. And you also have the tar functionality. So if you use a container, what you can do is basically say, okay, it's 0.100. What did I do there? I think it's like that. So what you can see is we have the gross weight, we have the tar basically, and we have the net weight as well. So you could weight the tar, but here I just enter it manually because that's a bit the flow that you would have in a shop. You already have the container with the products inside, let's say the coffee. So here you see we have 0.60, and so the price is also computed depending on the tar. And then you can order, and that's it basically. We have the scale that's integrated. Now you can also use it in the inventory module. So what you can do is weight the packages that you need to, for which you need to generate a shipping label, and depending on the weight is going to generate the right shipping label with the associated costs. Okay, so that's the second application you can use the scale for. Good.
You also have quality controls with the scales as well. It's mixed 3 then.
Okay, and how does it work then? Just to weight the products to see if
you should be a certain weight, and then you in the quality controls point you can check if the weight is correct.
Okay, nice to know. Good, so here we have seen quite a few things. So how to connect the printers with the AIT or without. We have seen how to connect the cash drawer, the scales. Now, for the scales, just be aware that we only are compatible with Mettler Toledo scales. You can take any scale that you want from them, but it's the only brand with whom we have an integration. And also be mindful that in commercial transactions, you need to be trade approved. The scale needs to be trade approved, meaning you need to certify that when you weight basically 1 kilogram, it's really 1 kilogram and not 900 grams, for instance. But that's something the manufacturer needs to do. Okay, so but just make sure the scale is trade approved. And in some countries, you might also need a certification. So make sure to go and check on Odoo's documentation if you need one, that we are certified for your country or region. Okay, what do you think? Should we go ahead and check the label printers?
There was one question about the closing, the cash closing. I think it's a bit up. No, not this one. Yeah, this one. So how do you properly close the possession so that the cash always starts with 0 value instead of the previous closing value? Well, actually, you can't.
You can't if you do not do any transactions to cash out all the money, basically, because the closing. So here, basically, if we close here, you will see, we didn't do any transactions with cash, so maybe let's do a few very quickly. So here we have the cash. Be careful, the cash drawer is going to open. Okay, so let's do a few more. So here we have 2 different transactions with the cash. Now, if you close the register, you will see that, of course, it should take the opening amount. Here we entered 0, so it's normal that we didn't have anything. But it's going to count the transactions with the cash here. So all the transactions. So here we expect to have 31.90 euros. Now, if you do the count here like that, it's going to take, of course, the amount of the previous closing when you reopen the point of sale. So if you do not want that, what you need to do is cash out all the money. But when you cash out, it really comes out of the cash drawer. So you also need to put it, in a safe or directly to the bank. So if you cash out here and you say, okay, it's going to the bank, you will see that the expected amount is going to be updated as well. And here the count is 0. And if you do that, indeed, you will have 0 for the next opening. So if I open again, you will see 0. If I now redo a few transactions here, let's just pay something with cash. If I now close the session, so I'm closing at 21, let's say. So we will have a small difference. I'm closing the cash register. It just asks me if you want to proceed because of the difference. If I open again, you will see we have 21. Now, if we go into the backend, you also have a full traceability, basically, of what happened. So here we see we started with 0, we ended with 21. We know we have a closing difference of 25 cents. So yeah, full traceability. And of course, you see it here at the top. On the cash register, you see the transactions that were paid in cash. and the difference here. And of course, you see it, of course, here in the journal entries. So you have the entries for the cash that are immediately booked as well on an expense account because it was a loss here, and again if we had a positive difference, of course. Okay, good. So maybe we can move on with the ZPL printers.
Yeah.
So for the ZPL printers, you do not need to any ZPL printer basically is going to work. Now we recommend a certain model because we have it here and we know it works really well, but any ZPL printer should function correctly. So maybe we can actually show how you can connect the report to the printer itself. But first I'm going to just show you what happens when you do not have the connection. So if we take here a product, I think it was my cola product that I created with a barcode. If we print the labels here and you use the ZPL labels and you confirm, you're going to download first the document. Okay, so here we have the code basically that needs to be interpreted by the ZPL printer, thanks to the drivers, of course. And then what you would need to do without the integration is basically click on print and then select the printer and print. So you see, if you really have a lot of printings to do, if you work in a warehouse, for instance, it can be quite, it's not the optimal process. So what you can do in that sense is go to the IoT. We're going to find the printer. So I'm just going to filter on ZPL. So it's the 411. And here you see the reports. So you can either do it that way to link the report to the printer. Okay, so here I'm just going to filter on the ZPL ones. I'm just going to add them all, but basically it's that one that you need to take, so the product label. And the second way is by going to the reports, basically. And here you go to product labels. And there you can see the Raspberry Pi is connected, the ZPL printer is connected through our Raspberry Pi. So let's go ahead and test that out. So I'm going to go on my products actually, on the Coke, and then I'm going to print the labels. Now the first time we're going to do that, it's going to ask on which printer do you wish to print, because you can choose from which computer, from a particular computer on which printer you would like to print. Okay, so you select the first time the printer, and then you see the request to print has been sent automatically. So you don't see it here, but basically it has printed a label. Now, what's interesting here is that the label that is going to be printed, and I'm going to show you something, just a second. I need to open another window for that. So basically, I'm trying to move here my Discord. So here actually you see that's the first label that we printed. So you see that the code, the ZPL code, the text code that we have is not really aligned with the label size. So that's something, a configuration that you will almost need to do every time. So we have a bit of documentation to help you configure that. So if you go here on our Postmark class, you can find here the toolbox, the ZPL configuration, where we explain basically what the different positions mean. So that's the code that you would get here from the view that prints the ZPL label. And here you can see the different explanations. So the most used one basically is the FT. I'm going to show you into the database just in a second. And basically this defines the text position. So what you need to know is that the X and Y axis are located at the top left corner, basically. Okay, so it's a bit different. And by changing the values that you see here, for instance, you're going to move the label up. So let's go ahead and see how we can do that. Now, I need to tell you that, but the best way to do it is through a development, because every time you have an update, the view is going to be basically updated, and so you will lose any modifications.
Yeah, it will be reset it to the default values, so
exactly.
You will
so
lose everything.
If you do changes, make sure to save them somewhere so you can restore the view. And we're looking for the label underscore product underscore view, basically. And here you see the code. Okay, so what we see here is that for the display name of our product, it's located at the x-axis 100 and the y-axis at 80. Okay, so to move it up, I'm just going to take a look here. To move it up, what we should do, so it's a guess here, it's a bit of a trial and error. I'm going to move it up to 40 for the x-axis and to 60 for the y. Okay, you're not going to see the changes, but by doing that here for the name, and then for our barcode, and the barcode 28. Okay, so here indeed we have the barcode. You can actually see it here into the field. We also have some values here to change. So here I'm going to try with 40 and 80. 40 and 80. And also what I did, if we take a look back here at the labels, is that I made actually here the width of the barcode also smaller. So this you can actually change here. Instead of BY, you can actually 3, you can move it to 2. So it's a bit technical. Maybe you could also use a tool that's interesting. It's called Labellary. But again, it doesn't give an exact
so
preview.
you will have something that that is displayed on the computer, but in the end, it won't necessarily reflect what you have printed. So basically, what you can do is you play around the values and you see if it goes right, left, up and down, and about the size of the font. And then you can play around with that.
Okay, so here what I'm doing basically is I'm entering the size of the label just here. So you can see we have a preview here, okay? And we have the text code, okay? So if I redraw, you can see it's completely out of place. So let's try again with the values. So I'm changing the values here. Of course, that's the example that we printed previously, so it's the text file. So now you can see it moved up, basically. I will do the same here with the barcode. So here, let's try, it was 40 and 80. Let's see what happens. I'm going to redraw. Okay, so you see the barcode actually moved up. Now I'm going to try and make the barcode smaller. Let's redraw, but actually it should still move up a bit. And I think maybe we could also change the font, basically.
Yeah.
So for the font, I'm not sure how, so here you have the value. So the font 0, and then you have the size. Okay, so we need to change the size. So basically it's that here, if I'm not mistaken. So let's go ahead and try 15.
The first one.
Yeah, it was the first one indeed. So here you see the name of the product, basically. And here we don't seem to have.
Like this, it's fine.
Okay, so here it became a bit smaller. It's not perfect, but it's really trial and error basically until you get it on the right place. So let's try again here. But I actually need to move the Y axis. So let's put it back here to 40 and move that up. So let's try 30 maybe. Okay, so here you see it moved. And here, actually, I can put it to 60, and let's see what happens. Okay, let's maybe resize here the barcode. That doesn't look good. I think you can also play with that, but I think it's that value, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, exactly. So here you saw I moved it from 100 to 80. And if we play a bit around, okay, now you see the barcode, you see the name. So that looks good. So what you need to do is take the values that you changed here and basically change it every time here into the view and of course save. So here I have 20. Okay, I think I changed as well. So it's 40 and 30 here. Okay, then we have 60. And 40 and 60. So 40 and 60. And here is 60, I think. No, that was it, huh?
Maybe. Can't remember. Yeah.
Okay, so let's go ahead and try when we print now. So we've saved here the view. And let's print again. So I'm going on my product. Let's go on the cola. And I'm printing again the label. Okay, so now it looks a bit better. You cannot really see it on the camera basically, but it's best. So what you need to remember here, it's a bit trial and error basically, to make sure you get the code that fits the size. Okay. Good, so maybe we can move to our next ZPL printer that will allow you to print shipping labels. Maybe you can show that. And Robin has some tricks, tips and tricks for you.
Yeah, but first we can just try and we will see that
Yes.
we will have an error.
So here what I'm going to do is go on the operation type of a delivery. And we're going to check that we need to print carrier labels. And we also need to print basically product labels. We can do both. So when the transfer is validated, you will get the shipping label and you will get the product labels as well. So for that, actually, you do need an integration, and hopefully I've added it here. So we have the delivery methods. So we have here, I will rename it SendCloud. And we've just used SendCloud to use bpost and get basically the shipping label. So of course you need some API keys. So let's go ahead and we're going to create a delivery. Basically, I'm just going to do it from scratch. Now, what you need to have is a contact with an address that's filled in. So let's go ahead and put an address, an email, and I hope, let's try maybe with a phone number as well. 1, 2. Okay. And I think right now we're almost good to go. I need to just have the carrier here. And let's go ahead. Add a product, of course. Let's take our cola product. We're going to send to. Mark has to do. And of course, I forgot something very important. If you go back on the IoT, you need to link basically to that printer the shipping label. So I'm just going to find the ZPL.
You wanted this one, right?
Yeah, and it's not the right one.
The
So
GK.
let's see. If we group by device type, ZPL. So we just have that one. So let's take a look. Yes, of course. Okay, so we don't find the printer. Is it actually? Yeah, that's the one.
And then it's the shipping.
Shipping label. Is it up and running? Yeah, indeed. Okay, so here you add the shipping label. The product labels are going to be printed on the other printer, and this we did already. So let's go back on our delivery, and let's validate and see what happens. Okay, so indeed we have an error because the package doesn't have a weight. Remember, the price of the label depends on the weight. So what we can do is add here some info. Okay, and let's try again. Okay, so we don't have any address on the contact.
The country and the state.
The country is not Brussels. I'm not sure I can add it, and I'm not sure it's needed. So let's try it like this. Okay, so now it's loading. And okay, so we have an issue here with the product labels, and the shipping label has been generated, but it did not print correctly. So Robin is going to show you a small trick.
Well, normally it should have. IoT. Let's make devices GK. So I'll just find for the printers on. Okay, it's the good one.
Yeah, it's a good one, but I think we should try to print it previously.
Could be this one as well. I will try something. I will just duplicate this in order to try. Mark has to do, and I will validate it.
Did you add the carrier as well? Yeah, you just duplicated it. Okay.
Normally it should print my.
Yeah, it should print actually. Maybe what we can do is go to cups and see if we can print a test page on the printer.
No, because there it doesn't even try to send it to the IoT. So
Okay.
we have to find out why it doesn't ask us to send it to the IoT, but it should be the maybe I know.
Go back maybe on the operation
Yeah,
type.
this is what I delivery. No.
Yeah, the configuration. Yeah. But I think it's the right one. We just have one. And there you can see we can connect the scale as well.
Okay. And there I have nothing. Let's try again.
The third one, yes.
No, it's still generating the report. For this I have to check. Yeah, I'll check.
Okay, here we might have a small issue here. But anyways, we link the shipping label to the right printer. Maybe what I can do in the meantime is go on the IoT homepage and go to the printer server and find basically the 420D and see what happens here if I go basically on the okay, so here they say the printer or class does not exist. So that's a bit weird. Let's see again. Maybe it was not added correctly. So maybe what I can try here is go and add a printer. Add a new printer. It's a bit small. So here we see you find the Zebra one because it's a local printer. It's directly linked to the IoT. Let's go ahead and continue. Maybe let's add a name if that's possible. Okay, I'm just going to continue here. Okay, maybe let's try again. Okay, so that one, let's continue. I'm just not going to change the name this time. Okay, and here it asks me to actually select the model. Let's just take this one. Let's see if it's okay. Okay, so here we have the Zebra printer that has been added. Let's print a test page. Nothing is happening, so maybe there is indeed an issue. Show the printing jobs. Okay. Okay, so it doesn't print, so maybe we have an issue with the printer.
Yeah, I'm just checking now.
Let me check. What I'm going to do is just restart maybe the printer as well. So just plugging it out and powering it off again. Let's see. So now, of course, it's red. We just need to wait a bit. Okay, let's see if we can try again. Okay, so now it's printing actually. Now we have the test page. Okay, so maybe let's go ahead and check here the different devices. I'm going to find the 420. Now it is connected. Maybe should we change that, you think? The receipt printer? No, label printer is fine. Okay. Yeah, let's go ahead and test maybe again. So let's go on the deliveries. Let's duplicate that one once more. Okay. Okay, it's still loading. Okay, so we still have an issue.
Yeah, there it should have been printed, but let's see.
I'm not sure I can do it from here because I don't have the printer, I think, on my computer. Let's maybe just try, but I don't think it's going to work. No, nothing happens.
Just checking something else.
Okay, maybe just take a look to the questions then. So we have a question here from Pavel. Is it possible to change the product order in the post screen so it's not only alphabetical?
No.
No,
it's,
that's not possible,
it's hard-coded, so
unfortunately.
you can't.
That's not possible. But maybe just about that, so what's maybe interesting to mention as well is that when you mark the products here as available in POS, so if we take a product, it's only those products that are going to be loaded basically into the database. So when you open the session, it's going to load all the products, all the contacts, so the master data to be able to function offline, the needed models as well to do a sale if you were to lose your connection. And basically, yeah, it supports the offline function. Now, between version 18 and 18.1, if I'm not mistaken, we have a difference in the number of product loading and the way it's loading actually. So previously, we loaded every time we opened the session. So every time it was going to load the products again. That has been changed and improved from version 18.1, if I'm not mistaken. So basically, we load the products into the cache of your browser at the first opening of the point of sale, and then we just update the products that have changed. The new products are loaded as well. And if you need to change the amount of products loaded, you can go into the system parameters and find the right key. Now, where is it? I never remember. But anyways, we have here we have an article about how the products are loaded. So it's here point of sale. Let's take a look. So point of sale. So here you see indeed we have the key for the customers and the key for the products. And you can see here I'm on a 18 database. We load 20,000 products and 100 contacts. In 18.1 we load 5,000, meaning if you have more, the products are not going to be loaded. If you lose the connection, you are not going to be able to use them. But you can change that number. Of course, the higher the number, the more time the opening is going to take. It's especially important for versions under 18.1. After, as we load it once, it's going maybe to take a bit of time the first time, but after you're going to be able to use the database.
I'll just try something from here.
Yeah, going back to the shipping labels. Go ahead. Yeah, okay, great. Let's try that.
Yeah, it says fetch in printers, I don't know why.
Okay.
This we should investigate the printer.
Yeah, no
directly.
worries. Okay. So this indeed we can do. Yeah, I don't know if we still have other questions. Anyways, that's what we want to show you today. So it was quite complete, I think.
We had a question about stocks warehouses before.
Okay.
Basically, the question was, can I configure my warehouse to have multiple warehouses in for one point of sale? The answer is no, but what you would do in the small shop is to make two different configurations and one with each warehouses.
So basically what you need to understand here is that you have one post config basically. So if we go into one, the shop one, you will see that we have here the operation type that is linked. So here it's the one of the post orders for the warehouse in Brussels. Now every time you create a new warehouse and you have the point of sale application that is added into the database, if we now create a new warehouse, close. So let's make one for Antwerp. Just need to give a short name. So now I have 2 warehouses into the database. If we go to the overview and you group by warehouse, you will see that we have all the operation types that have been created for Antwerp, and we have the post order operation type, which basically is a delivery order operation type. But if we take a closer look at the delivery one, you will see that we have the reservation mechanism here, which is not the case if we take the post order one. Why? Because we, when you go into a shop, you take the product, basically you go to the checkout and it's immediately delivered, except of course if you use a ship later function or something like that. And so this you can link here to your point of sale to say to the point of sale from where you're going to deduct the stock basically. So if I go back here, you can see for Antwerp, the source location is Antwerp stock. So indeed, like Robin said, if you need to change that and have various locations from which the different point of sales take the stock, you can do that. You need to go actually here and you can select the post order operation type with the right location here.
Yeah.
Okay, do we have any other questions? We don't see any other questions. When I sell a gift voucher in the post and create an invoice of it, the gift voucher and invoices are immediately sent to the customer email address. Is it possible to disable that?
Not really. If you remove the mail on the contact, maybe, but maybe it's mandatory. We have to check actually.
Let's take a look. So if I go here into the gift card,
I guess that you don't want to remove the...
We have an email template here. Maybe we can actually remove that. For the email, for the invoice, it should not be sent automatically. You should actually select it, but maybe with the new regulations, it does. It is sent automatically. I need to check that. So let's go ahead and check. Setup. Okay. So let's see when we use here a gift card. I was not showing it on the right database. So here we have the gift card. We can remove the email template. And basically we can test the setup. So I'm going to create a gift card here. The customer can be, let's say, Hermine this time. Okay, so we have a gift card here for 50 euros. Let's put an email address to Hermine, so we're sure it's going to be sent to .com. And let's save. So for me, you need to select the invoice, but I'm not sure it's going to be sent automatically if you do not, the cash drawer is opening here. So basically, let's see what happens in the back end. So we have our gift card that has been generated. And here I don't have the impression anything was sent. Let's see into our messages. Did we send something?
No. Gift card, maybe.
I'm not sure. For me, this did not send an email, actually. Let's go ahead. Maybe I'm going to remove that.
Or maybe you can just check your mails.
The what?
You send it to you, so maybe you can just check.
Yeah, I can check on my emails. Let's take a look. Okay, so we got the invoice automatically. But this, I think it can be removed on the contact if I'm not mistaken. That's not the one. Here, let's take a look.
I think it's
Invoice sending. Let's put it to download actually. And here I'm just going to put another address at test.be. Okay, so let's take a look now. I'm going back. Let's create the gift card. Let's pay. I'm going to use card so we don't have the cashier opening. Validate and let's see what happens. Of course we have the ticket printing. And now I don't seem to have the invoice that is generated.
Change the mail address. So.
No, it was the right contact. So if you go here and you take the orders, basically the paid ones, you see the contact is Hermine and it's the right email address. Okay, I just changed it on the user, which had the same. So here we don't seem to have the invoice. Now, maybe what we can show you as well, if we go and take Robin, for instance, and we pay by card, we should come, basically, it skips the view every time, but that's why I think it's a setting here.
Yeah, it's because...
so if you go on the automatic printing, yeah, you need to uncheck that setting here. So let's go back. Okay. And let's do it again. So let's take maybe Hermine. Let's pay by card, invoice, validate. And actually here, that's where you have the possibility to send the email with the invoice, the receipt, and if you generated the gift card as well. So here I still have nothing on my inbox. So maybe what we can try again is go back here and put back the email template and see what happens. Gift card info. And let's try it again. Where is my point of sale? Here. Okay, so let's go back and select the invoice by card and let's see what happens. So it's generating the invoice and the gift card, of course, that you can see basically that has been downloaded. And let's refresh my email. And I still got nothing. So I think that's good, but of course it takes a while before it's on the email. Let's go here and see the last one. I hope it's that one. So here we seem to have created the report and probably send it. Yeah, so here actually it will send it, and let me refresh my email.
Well, maybe
I still haven't got it. But if I go to messages, you can see here indeed that one has been sent. Okay, so what you can do basically is like we showed, is go on the gift card and here you remove the email template, then it should be good. And for the invoice, we went on the contact basically, and we just asked to remove the send by email and we added the download for the invoice sending. Okay, guys, do we still have questions?
Well, we have 3.
Okay.
Would it be possible to allow tables name with letters again? Right now it seems only numbers that are accepted. Well, this was under discussion, but I don't know if they plan to change it back again or not, so I don't really know, but you are right. Right now it's only numbers. When you import a sale order with an order reference in the POS and create an invoice of this POS sale, is it possible to print the order reference of the sale order on this invoice? I think it should be the case.
Yeah, I think so too.
If it's not the case, then we can report it actually.
But I think it is. So if I duplicate this, maybe let me create a new one. I'm going to take here my client. I'm going to add a product. Let's take the drink, confirm. So this is so I can actually push into my point of sale with the action link quotation order basically. You go to the action menu, link quotation order, and you select the order that has not been invoiced. That's very important, otherwise you won't be able to push it again, because the point of sale generates journal entries as well, and the invoice also, so we want to prevent that you have twice the entries. So let's go ahead and pay. Let's create an invoice, and let's pay by card this time, not with the ADN terminal. So here it's generating the invoice. Let's open it. So we do see the reference of the coffee shop indeed.
Yes, that's
But
the sources should be S00. This is, for me, this is a bug. So we'll just report it and should be fixed, because the sources should be the source order. So yeah.
Okay. And then maybe a last question before we close up. How do you generate an invoice for a sale made at the point of sale when the sale has been paid for 2 installments? So a down payment and then the remaining balance. You can generate 2 invoices, but no one with a summary of the entire order and payment. That's true. I think that's an improvement we asked from R&D, so I think we're going to see it pretty soon. But indeed what we do, so you pay for the down payment and then you take the total of the order minus the down payment, and indeed then you have the total that you pay at that time. So not the total of the order, but you should see it, I hope, pretty soon. Okay guys, that's it I think. We've come to the end of this Odoo Insider, so thank you very much for joining Robin and I.
Yeah, thank you.
And I hope this session was very useful for you. Have a nice day.
Goodbye. En fait, à un moment, je les bougeais, et depuis ce moment, il me tuait l'oreille. Au début, il était trop bien mis, et puis après, c'était l'enfer.